Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I am your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, and this is episode 336 of the Free-to-Play Cast. We're recording on April 16th, 2020. You're watching it on the 17th or later, and we've got some bad beta decisions, at least the way some of us view it. Some rapid-fire news, including Phantasy Star Online 2 news, because of course we have Phantasy Star Online 2 news. And, yeah, we got somebody that, although we did a first look preview and review, excuse me, of Bless Unleashed last week with Jason and Zach, we got two new people this week to talk about it, give their opinions, one of which I'm sure most of you MMO bombers are very interested in what he has to say. But joining me first up, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
I'll let you know as soon as I hear back from Samsung.
Oh, you are still waiting to talk to Samsung.
Oh, no, I talked to them, and I had to send them more information. They should have asked me about the first time around, so I still don't know if I'm getting the damn monitor replaced.
Fantastic. Also on the line, it's been a while, the Noobfridge himself, Mr. Troy Blackburn. How are you, sir?
Man, look, I messaged you, what, 3 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. I was like, hey, man, I got time. I'd like to be on the cast. Oh, yeah. And I'm like spending the whole week super excited. Get up this morning and I look at the show notes. What's on there? Bless Unleashed.
It'd just be wrong of me not to get your take on Bless Unleashed after all of the Bless Online fantasticness that went down, and then us waiting to see what Troy thought of Bless Unleashed. Finally, it's in the wild. We had to get your take on it. But I promise you, since we did like an in-depth thing last week with Zach and Jason and I, we'll truncate it. I've already given my opinions. I've been streaming it all week. By the way, if you want to come and watch our MMO Bomb streams, we've been streaming Monday through Friday every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, from starting at 2 p.m. Eastern until anywhere between 4:30 and 5 Eastern. Last week was Phantasy Star Online 2 all week. This week's Bless Unleashed all week. Next week it'll be a different game. So we'll truncate that portion of the show just to get your two takes on it. But on that note, let's slide over and get started with the news. Troy, what are you playing these days? MMO-wise, or, not free-to-play-wise, just what are you playing these days? It's been a while, and I'm sure the viewers just want to like a little Troy update, so let's give it to them.
Oddly enough, I've been hiding away in Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Really?
As a paid subscriber, nonetheless.
Well, yeah, I mean, every time you play SWTOR, you have to sub up. That's just
otherwise it's just like a very extended free trial. But yeah, subbed up and just been like I said, man, honestly, just hiding away, just in what free time I've had, just jump in and experience some of the stories. Man, that has been it.
Awesome. I haven't played SWTOR in a while, in quite a while, but I remember just being all about that game. When they do story well, it's really good. When they miss the mark, they really miss the mark. There's no like
when they miss the mark, you just go collect some some robot asses and turn them in, and then you move on to another class.
Yeah, they absolutely, like BioWare, as good as they are at storytelling, it is usually hit or miss. It's oh, this is incredible, or okay, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. On my side, I've been in Elder Scrolls Online. Like that game never stuck with me. I bought the whole thing at launch and all that, and I always get to like level 10 or 11, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm done. Right now, it really has its claws into me. I think I hit like 38 last night. I'll be playing it again tonight. So that's I'm not free to play, I know, but that's the one I'm currently. Besides, on the free to play front, of course, Phantasy Star Online 2.
Oh, of course. I'm sure we're going to have to hear about that today.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of good news. Maybe not the best news that some people were looking for, because it's a little later than they were hoping, but it's good news. Let's get started, though, with one that Troy, I would imagine this is the type of game you would be watching, that you would be eager to see how it does and get your hands on it. Well, that, of course, is Valorant from the team over at Riot Games. Now, we had last week when we were talking about Valorant, and the week before Q, we had Jason's saga to try and get a beta key. That dude has watched like 40 hours of Valorant streams trying to get a key.
There have been updates to that, though. They're apologizing profusely and telling, I don't know, it seems like he should have a key by now based on the stuff they've been saying.
Right? Yeah.
It seems like one dude said he watched for 3 days straight, just like in order to get a key.
That is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And we've already expressed our opinion. Like, we even contacted Riot as press saying, hey, can we just get one? We just want one key so that we can record a first look video, get our coverage starting up. You know, we got the news articles, we got the game page. It's just missing the first look video. Can you please toss us one key? They were super, to let all of you viewers know, they were super limited on even the press keys that they gave out. There was a handful of outlets that got press keys. That was it. The rest of us were put on waiting lists. So if you weren't like IGN, you got put on a waiting list, and potentially, it even says, we're not telling you no, that you're not going to get a key. We're just telling you not right now. Like, so they were fully committed to this whole try and watch the stream thing. Yeah. Troy, what's your take on that? I mean, none of us were fans of it. We thought this is, unless it was going to be something like, which initially for a few days it was, here's three big streamers, go check them out, we'll be tossing out keys in there. Then it became, watch any stream and you have a chance of getting a key. Like, it was just really ass backwards as far as I'm concerned here.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, either tell me I can play or tell me I just can't play. You know, I don't want to be strung along being like, oh, I might get a key, I might get a key, I might get a key. And just, you know, honestly, watching the streams, the more I watch the streams, the more I lose interest, because the more it looks like everything else out there. I mean, it literally looks like, you know, Overwatch and CSGO had a baby and created this game, and that's exactly what it looks like. You buy guns like CSGO and everything is art styled like Overwatch. It's sort of weird to look at, and I don't know. I mean, I guess stay tuned in 2025 when Riot realizes that, you know, battle royales were a big deal in 2019, and they'll have one out. I mean, I mean, how late to the party can you be with this?
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned those two specific games, because part of the news that broke this week was Riot Games kind of giving out initial information on, of course, its esports scene, right? Q, this was a no-brainer. That's exactly what this type of game was going for, was a potential esports scene. But reading through some of the senior director of global esports, Waylon Roselle's comments on various media outlets, I kind of get the feeling that maybe they got a little burnt with how hard they have pushed different Riot League of Legends esports scenes and things like that out of the gate. Maybe they're learning some lessons about what went wrong with Blizzard and Heroes of the Storm and their aggressive push towards esports and things like that, because it seems like they're taking a bit more measured approach, establishing the community first and then letting the esports scene grow organically from that.
Isn't that usually how esports have worked? Like
the successful ones, yeah.
Right? Like, you know, the whole thing, right, with StarCraft, which was, you know, one of the very first, the whole, and it was just the community. And I know, like, Hi-Rez, when they do their esports stuff, part of the reason they do the whole, well, everybody can just be in the beta is because they're just building out the community from the get-go. And you know, they're not necessarily the largest, but they don't have the problems that other developers seem to have either. Like, their esports stuff is working well enough. They've built an entire company just around it. Yeah. So, I mean, building out the community is definitely the way to go with esports, because you got to have people who want to play the game and actually, you know, be competitors, and you got to have people that want to sit around and watch those people play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's hard not to, in some of these comments, and I'm going to read one or two of them for Troy, you to comment on here. It's hard not to see them kind of taking aim directly at the CSGO audience, even more so than the Overwatch audience. It just has a very, we're going to try and let it grow the way CSGO did and then turn it into an esports. Like they started with, we want to let Valorant grow naturally. We're not looking to force anything too quickly without knowing what's best for esports fans. As such, a primary focus early on will be forming partnerships with players, content creators, tournament organizers, and developers, unlocking them to help us to build this ecosystem. If that doesn't sound like exactly what happened with CSGO, I don't know what is, or what does sound like it. It also sounds like, hey, there have been a lot of games recently that spent bajillions of dollars to try and have a huge esports scene right out of the gate, and it didn't work, and we're going to avoid that. Also, it's kind of hard to do anything otherwise, particularly in the United States right now, right? You can't just funnel a bunch of money to huge esports competitions when people aren't allowed to get together to have those competitions.
Yeah, you're not going to fill an arena and a bunch of teams like next week for an esports event, for sure.
Let's be thankful that esports are one of those things that you can do, that everybody can, do the community thing for. And like even the play, like, unlike real sports where players actually have to go and be in a stadium for it to happen, you don't have to do that with esports. So there's still some wiggle room.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. Go ahead, Troy. You had something else on the quote there.
Normally this would be where I like insert something facetious and say, oh, well, you need to wait to see if people want to play your game, but that's exactly what they're doing here, and it's actually really good business sense this go around. Before you spend millions of dollars making that push, make sure people do want to play your game, and the players are going to stick around, and it's something they're going to play. You look at something like Apex Legends, it was so huge coming out of the gate, right? It's like, oh my God, Fortnite killer, big battle royale, and then it just slowly started petering away. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen to you before you invest millions into the esport for the game. So, I can't blame them at all for taking the slow and steady approach, especially in a time where we've seen games like, normally a game would launch and it would just be huge or it would just be nothing. But we've watched a few games lately launch huge and then just sort of disappear.
Yep. I mean, and again, for as much as I feel that they did the whole beta key and are still doing the whole beta key thing wrong, this feels right. Now, will it turn into a successful esport or something like that? We don't know, right? That has yet to be seen. Troy, to your point, and Q, to points you've made on previous shows, this is a crowded game space with big esports competitors in it, with Overwatch, with CSGO, with all of the, the PUBGs, although, Battle Royale instead of the hero base, I get it, but this is a huge crowded space with some big dogs. Will Valorant move into that, or does Valorant fall a little more on this feels generic and trying to mix the best elements of a couple of these, and it really doesn't feel special? I don't know. We'll have to see. Competitive guidelines, though, have been provided already, at least some, and they give kind of the basic framework, right? Tournament sizes, rules for the tournament organizers to get Riot's blessing on their event. And none of this was particularly surprising. Most of it was stuff like you can use the word Valorant, but you can't use Riot Games depending on size, right? They don't want to appear like they're sponsoring things that they're not sponsoring. In the tournament descriptions and the setups, no gambling, no alcohol, no political organizations, no other game companies involved. Pretty standard stuff. But one did cause a little bit of a ruckus this week in there, because it required that broadcasted tournaments turn off the show blood in the game settings. They have to shut that off if they're going to be broadcasting this. And that's got some, longtime fans and players of this particular genre a little bit miffed. But I don't know where I fall on this one. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people saying that, hey, this is for China, right? They want to get this big in China, and China's got a bunch of restrictions. Q, you've talked about that on this show with other games, Secret World Legends and Skeletons and things like that, being banned in Chinese versions of games, or having the games adapted so that they don't have those types of things. And while I could certainly sit back and take the pessimistic approach and say, well, yeah, you want your game big in China, you're going to kind of cater to what you need to do to be big in China, whether it's having people play it or having people watch it. It doesn't matter. If they're not playing it and they can't watch it because there's blood on it, then you missed your
China
market.
has a lot of restrictions, but China has a lot of money.
It does, but I think it's a bit pessimistic to sit there and say this was done from China. Maybe a factor, maybe the factor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not in Riot's boardroom, but it's hard not to look at it and go, they want to establish an esports scene. You generally want that to cater to as many people as possible, including, early teens, preteens, 16, 17 to 18, that whole age group where showing blood in a broadcasted tournament might be a detriment to who's able to watch your stuff and where, regardless of whether it's in China, Q.
Well, and it's one of those things too where I've mentioned this before, where it's not just China you're catering to on a lot of these things. I've talked to devs about it, and one of the things that they do is like, okay, yes, there's certain things you cater to, you do for China. There's also certain things that you do if you're taking your game to Mexico or Brazil or where like everybody's got their own requirements for your game to be acceptable there, and for competitive games, if you want everybody to be able to compete together, and not just divide it up to where only North Americans ever compete together and stuff like that, you want the game to be similar enough all the way across the board that there's no confusion for the players, so when they do play against each other, it like the silhouettes are the same or the maps are the same or whatever, and there's not this whole having to learn to play differently because suddenly you've been brought into California to play a game against other people, and you're playing on their servers now, and it's all different. So there is that factor. And I think one of the other things that somebody said when I was looking at it, Todd Harris retweeted it and was like, it's 1000% correct, is that when you're thinking of broadcasting, you like you said, you do have to take the stuff that will make it more broadly appealing into account. And if you're wanting to get it on ESPN or something like that, you have to consider television regulations and everything. And let's face it, lots of companies want their games on ESPN or what is it, TBS, I think, that does esports occasionally, like stuff like that. They want the games to be even more available than just having to sit and watch everything on Twitch or through their, website or whatever.
Right. I mean, and again, it's very easy to take the pessimistic view, and this was just done for China. I tend to, if I had to make a guess, believe that China was probably a factor, but it was probably one of many factors, including, exactly what you said, Q. The way to get the biggest audience is to turn that off for broadcast streams. Troy, does that turn off a section of the audience from wanting to support this? And is that section of the audience big enough to cause concern for Riot? I guess not, given the decision that they made.
I wouldn't think so. You look at games like Paladins and Overwatch and play those, and you don't miss blood in those. It's really not that big a deal unless somebody gets it brought to their attention. If there wasn't even blood in the game at all, I don't think anybody would have even noticed and be like, "Oh, where's all my blood?" Because there's not blood in a lot of other shooters out there. So you play those, you don't even miss it unless it gets brought to your attention that it's not there. So I wouldn't think that this is a big enough deal to affect anything. And if some folks want to whine about it, that's their right to do so, I guess.
Before we leave Valorant here, there is one more thing we should talk about that did make news headlines, including on MMOBomb.com. Remember, everything we're talking about on the Free-to-Play cast has an article or a video up on the website so that you can go and check it out as well. The game in Valorant does have an anti-cheat system. I don't think anybody in their right mind was surprised by that. Right? It's a competitive online shooter. It's probably going to have some type of cheat detection, either in the client itself or in one of those sub-programs that we see, like Easy Anti-Cheat, BattleEye, Sign Code 3, all that stuff. However, Valorant is causing a little bit of a concern because it works a little differently, and it's Riot's own thing. They're not using like BattleEye, like I just mentioned. They're using their own thing. And it installs, or it registers upon boot up of the PC itself that you're playing on, not boot up of the game, which would allow you to bypass it in some ways by booting things up before or after in certain boot sequences. Why is this a concern for a lot of people? Well, because that type of program needs kernel access to your computer. And that's a lot of information that it could potentially, in a security breach, view or take. Now, Riot has said, look, we're not getting nothing is being sent back to us from that file. It's there so that it has access there so that cheaters can't load cheats before an anti-cheat system starts up, which would be the case if it just started when the game launches. Ars Technica, tech website, if for those of you that aren't familiar, had some researchers look at the program. And while they said there isn't necessarily anything, hugely red flag about it right now, it does give them concerns that it could be potentially exploited by other people. Riot, of course, turned around and said, if it was, or we learned of anything like that, we could immediately, issue a patch within hours. And if we really, really had to, we could basically destroy it on everybody's computer, all players' computers, and get rid of it in some extreme cases. But the flip side of that is Ars Technica's team looked at it and said, I'm not really sure if this helps in the long run. So, why go this far? Then they speculated that a bug will crash the entire OS in this case, not just the game, because it's in the OS's kernel files. This is a sticky situation, and I kind of agree with Ars Technica and their findings, Troy. And does this really help catch cheaters any better than a program that isn't accessing your kernel files does?
Oh, isn't that the problem with all anti-cheat? No matter where you put it, no matter how you program it, somebody gets past it. Let's look at the example that was talked about later on in this article about why you shouldn't freak out about this quite as hard as maybe some people initially did, because games like Fortnite already have this.
Yeah.
Guess how many times I've been killed by cheaters in Fortnite? Several times. I saw some videos on YouTube already. I looked it up, and I've already seen videos on YouTube of hackers getting banned because they got through to the game. Now, they did get caught once they were playing, but it didn't catch them on boot up in the kernel system. They were in the game actually competing when they finally got caught and banned. So
yeah, and to your point, Fortnite uses BattleEye, which is a kernel-based system as well. So this isn't unprecedented by any stretch of the imagination. But Q, I do think there is a valid concern in, if this is the way Riot wanted to go, why not use an already established kernel-based anti-cheating software that has already gone through the paces of trying to be exploited, continues to try to be exploited, has already patched itself to defend against a number of certain circumstances that they've had to deal with in real life, that Riot's version hasn't been put through those paces yet. Their Vanguard program is new on the block and presumably is now going to undergo the same types of pokes and prods that BattleEye and all those other pieces of software have already dealt with to a large extent.
I wonder if it's partially because they're planning on utilizing it in future games. So they're just like, well, we'll just go ahead and make our own. So we have this one thing to use across all our games. And then they don't have to pay somebody else for their services because they already have it. Or maybe, the other thought could be that if they manage to make it useful, and maybe not having to nuke it off of all their players' computers at some point, because that seems a little extreme. But if they could make it useful, then maybe they could make other people pay them for it. So that would be the only reason this would seem logical to me, is if they're planning on, like I said, avoiding paying other companies and maybe monetizing it in the future.
The old Epic Games approach, they made their own game engine and just sold that to people instead of making games.
Right. Yeah. If I could tell you the number of times that companies I've worked for, I do software engineering and that as a profession, said, we don't want to buy Troy's program that does exactly what we need it to do company-wide. We're going to build our own. If I could tell you the number of times that always ended with a spend on your own and then a reluctantly purchased of Troy software later. Yeah. But it's something to watch for, so keep an eye on it. We'll watch as it unfolds. Let's slide over and do some rapid fire news. Starting off, I teased Phantasy Star Online 2 with some news. Not a lot of news. Officially, the Xbox One beta, the open beta, is over. We have moved to launch, so congratulations to Sega, Phantasy Star Online 2, and all the players on the Xbox One. The big news in there that is good news, but maybe not as good news as some people would have liked, is that the PC version has been given a release window. It's not a date. It's not a release date. It is a release window. Previously, all we knew was spring, that both the Xbox and the PC version would launch. Now that window has closed a little bit. It is the end of May. So you probably have about 4 weeks to go before it releases on PC. Initially, it is tagged to be a Microsoft Store exclusive. Although we did see that at one point in the manuals, which were no longer made available as soon as we saw them, there was directions on how to download the game off of Steam. So maybe there will be a Steam release in the future. Maybe not. Just speculation. But at least initially, it'll be a Microsoft Store exclusive. End of May. Will be cross-play, cross-save, so you'll be able to jump back and forth. Q and I have talked ad nauseum about PSO2, so we'll skip that. You know I love it. Everybody knows I love it. Troy, have you checked it out at all? Streams, first look videos, played it at all? What are your kind of thoughts?
Everything I know about that game has come out of your mouth.
All right, so Troy knows it is the best game ever. All right, moving on. Q, this one's yours. Star Trek kind of needed some stuff to do, right? COVID, coronavirus, keeping everybody at home. They put up a couple of sales. They did some stuff with the extended ship thing that they were doing a while ago. But then I guess they ran out of stuff because now they're doing something else.
Well, the funny thing about that is they've been doing their anniversary stuff as well. Like right around now. So, but Star Trek's always been really good about just kind of keeping everybody in stuff to do, but I didn't expect them to bring the winter event back this soon. I guess it kind of makes sense. Q oversees
they
the
know
winter
what the weather's
events.
doing outside my house. Okay. It just became winter again. It's time for Christmas events.
Well, But Q takes care of the winter events, or the winter event every year, and comes and causes chaos. So I guess if
not Q, Continuum Q.
No, Continuum Q, not Time Lord Q, Continuum Q. Yes. So if you're able to control like everything, why not just decide, hey, this is going to happen now, and they dropped it in, or they're dropping it in on April 24th, so everybody can go in and redo it. And the cool thing is if you didn't get everything done on the December 2019 stuff, it carries over and you can complete that and get the stuff you missed out on. And
I think that's the coolest part, that it's not a re-kick up of the event. It is a bring back the event in an extended window. So it's not a new version of this old event and you farm the stuff all over again. I thought that was pretty clever. I mean, Q can do whatever the hell Q wants, right? I mean, so
yes.
Why not have the Christmas winter event in April? So go check it out if you're an STO fan. On the sadder side of news, we did find out, unfortunately, 2 days ago that Rick May, I don't know if you know that name off the top, an actor, but probably best known on this channel for voicing the soldier on Team Fortress 2. Rick May did pass away, age of 79, and it was COVID-19 related. He contracted the disease in a nursing home while recovering from a stroke in February. So I did other voices too. 1997 Star Fox 64 voiced Peppy. So yeah, I mean, that one was kind of annoying, but Rick May, Team Fortress 2 soldier, you will be missed. Our condolences to Rick May's friends and family. moving on here, Jason, Troy. The ESRB, now we've talked about them in loot boxes for a while. They still have that plan to disclose all odds by the end of the year. We haven't seen any progress on that, but or update on that, I should say. But they are going to go ahead and update the in-store purchases label that just recently got added to games late last year, early this year. Now they're going to update it again with may have random items.
You know, you think maybe that they realized when they were just putting, you know, in-game purchases on all these games, they realized, hey, this label is going on every game. Maybe we should specify more about the thing we were actually trying to target, which was random item purchases. Now, like you said, they've said in the past that they're going to give us, you know, the odds. We should always know the odds of what we're going to purchase. And I can tell you what the odds are for any kind of random thing I try to purchase is like
0.
Oh my God, Smite skin chests. I have stopped spending money on you because you are the bane of my existence. But yes, I mean, like you said, we haven't had much updates as far as the actual odds and knowing that information, but this is a step in the right direction. At least labeling something, what does that do at the end of the day? Unfortunately, I don't believe it does a lot.
Yeah.
But it is, at least something is happening, and they're not just stagnant and quiet all at the same time.
And to be clear, by the way, the initiative to have Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo all on board with publishing odds in games, that's actually driven by the ESA, not the ESRB. Yes, one controls the other, but you know, not to conflate the two here. Here's what I find really interesting, Q, and this is according to the ESRB's blog post on this new tag, right? Their research indicates that parents are concerned about their children spending money on in-game purchases in any way, not just via loot boxes, and that fewer than a third of them even know and understand what a loot box is. It's game consumers and enthusiasts, not necessarily parents, who have asked for this kind of labeling, the ESRB said. Actually, it isn't game enthusiasts and things that have asked for this label because they want it. They want more detailed labels. We want more detailed labels for exactly that reason. That parents don't know what loot boxes are and what they do and why it is a manipulative practice. I kind of think they missed the boat here, Q.
Well, I've told you this before. I live with someone who is not a gamer, and of course her son plays video games. Hilariously, he doesn't play Fortnite. He's a PUBG kind of guy, but he does play other games that have you know, that he needs to do or wants to do in-game purchases for. And I think one of them right around Christmas was like something that it was actually a discounted price, but it was still like $50, whatever it was that he wanted. And she just could not understand him wanting to spend money in a game at all. And I'm sitting here trying to explain to her what, you know, like what these purchases and stuff are like. But the thing is because she doesn't interact with this stuff at all. She has no idea why somebody would be purchasing something in a game. And, you know, like she's not going to know the difference between a loot box and that. So yeah, I can understand why it would be us that's like, no, you really need to label this more clearly.
Yeah.
You know, because we're the ones who know that it's there. Of course, parents aren't going to ask for that because they don't even know it's a thing that exists.
Yep.
Like they just know that their kids are asking to spend money in a game. They don't know why. Like, they don't know if it's, you know, for just some random cosmetic item or a mount or something like that. They don't know if it's for loot boxes. Like, they don't know what it's for. They just know that their kid is asking to spend exorbitant amounts of money in a game. So it's obviously up to us to ask for the more clear labeling. And then try to explain it to them, you know, like we have to when we're shopping in GameStop and you know, the store employee is trying to explain to that one parent why they shouldn't buy a mature labeled game for a 7-year-old. Like,
shut up, take my money. I want to speak to your manager.
All right, Karen, back of the line. Yeah, it's funny though, like just like thinking about how things change. Like my dad, he passed away, over a decade ago. It's been like, I don't know, off the top of my head, like 14, 15, 16 years now. But my dad was a gamer in like the NES, SNES era, and then he liked watching like PlayStation era Resident Evils, Final Fantasy, stuff like that. He didn't play them. He played Hot Shots Golf, right? But I just like think back, like if I was trying to explain to my dad right now, you bought a $60 game. Yeah. And then you gave him $20 for what? A cosmetic outfit. What the fuck is a cosmetic outfit? Like to him, that would just be like, what are you talking about? Like, aren't they all the game is cosmetic, the box is cosmetic, the manual, I mean, it's all cosmetic, it's a video game. How things change.
Look, as a grown man who has entertainment dollars to spend and knows the work it takes to have entertainment dollars to spend, and how many entertainment dollars is too much money to spend, even I sometimes look back and go, the fuck did you do that for?
All right, finishing out the rapid fire news round. We'll be putting up a piece now. Magic Legends got some information today about artifacts and how those will work in the game. But earlier this week, or late last week, they put up a post talking about class progression and how you move forward in the game. But Troy, I don't know if you're ready for this. Let me break this down for you.
Uh-oh.
What happens is you play the game, okay? While you're playing, you kill things, you advance quests, and stuff like that, okay? When you do that, they give you what they call XP. It's short for experience points.
Really?
Yeah. What happens is when you get enough of those on predetermined thresholds, you level up. And your character gets stronger and can unlock various features. That is
represented by a number?
Yes. Yeah, it's all numbers based. In those cases, the things you're going to unlock are new abilities, class perks, traits. Ability upgrades will be kind of first, and they give you like modifications. Then traits, they come later, and they're the last thing you're going to unlock, because that's like advancement after you have already maxed out the levels. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but obviously I'm being facetious. This is some
Bless Online levels of innovation right there.
Yeah. And
it could be worse. It could be walls.
Yeah, I mean, it was all pretty nice post. It's always nice to get information about the game, but it was kind of a weird post to read. Yeah, there are some little tweaks in there about when things happen, and you get these at every level, these increases, but milestone levels you get these. But there was like nothing in this that was magical, Troy.
Yeah, I was reading through the article actually because I was like, because in all honesty, this game has yet to drop the big, hey, Troy, pay attention to this. And so I was like, let's take a look at what the class progression has to offer. And I opened the article, and I believe Q, you wrote that one, right? And it was like 3 paragraphs. And I was like, okay, there must be a link to like this big blog post. And then I just got to read, and I was like, okay, thank you for detailing how every game we play ever works.
Yeah, it was really weird. And again, there are like little tweaks in the system, but every game does some little tweak. I was excited. Like when I saw there was a blog post, I was like, they must be doing something different then. Let me go read this. Q, here's the link. I'm in the middle of reading it. You read it, write it up. And then we both get through it, and we're like, what the hell was that a blog post for?
I mean, I guess it's good to know that the trait thing is like for all the classes and not just one.
Yeah.
Like you can do the trait thing across. But I mean, that was the only thing that I would consider like slightly variant information compared to it's doing it.
And today we're going to post information on artifacts, which that one does seem to be a little bit of a unique thing to Magic. So hopefully that'll give us some insight. I haven't read the whole thing yet, so I'm not going to spoil. I can't spoil anything. But, artifacts being artifacts in Magic the Gathering and working a little differently, we'll see how they're going to transcribe that into Magic Legends. So let us know how you feel about it in the comments below. Now, I don't want to spend too much time here. We got to go do the bombs and all that stuff. But I would be remiss. The moment has come. Q, what do you think of Bless Unleashed? Okay, we'll go to Troy first. God damn. All right. Troy, we did Bless Unleashed. Yes, the first look video was an hour long. Yes, I know I did it in the actual reverse order that I wanted to do it. I got tied up on things, and it didn't feel great editing it if I went back. I wanted to put combat first, but it ended up coming last, so whatever. Sorry, it won't happen again, internet. And you stopped by the stream today, which thank you for doing, and I hope all of our viewers do too. 2 o'clock, Monday through Friday. So now you have seen your fair share of Bless Unleashed. What do you think?
Until today, I did not know that the game had actually launched on Xbox. I disappeared like right after Bless Online went to shit, and I was right about everything. That's about the time that I got busy and disappeared for a while. So I come back, and apparently Bless Unleashed is a thing, and it looks every bit like exactly what I thought it was going to be. Some kind of cheap port that doesn't actually look much like the original game. And to watch you do combat and try to kill things, and I mean, usually you talk about TTK and like shooters and stuff, right? But I'm sitting there watching you shoot just generic mobs for like minutes.
Yeah.
Minutes.
Well,
not
and
seconds,
that's kind of what it's going for, though, to be fair, with its combat being more engaging, dodgy, rolly, and combo based.
How did that work out for you when the servers
that
kept
was
lagging and crashing and lagging and crashing?
Yeah, I talked on the cast about
the action combat, huh?
The servers not being great, and today on stream they were just awful. So yeah, no defense there. I don't have any defense for it there.
So look, like you did this 51-minute video on this game, right?
Yeah.
The Bless Online first look that you and I did was 54 minutes.
Yeah.
And the only reason it exists was to be a vehicle for you and I to argue for however long we could argue. How in the world did you get 51 minutes out of that game? Well, I'll tell you how you got 51. Now that I've watched your stream, I understand now. You killed like 3 mobs. And so you had to make sure you didn't edit it all out to show that mobs could be killed. And so it took you 51 minutes. I understand after coming to the stream. Which, by the way, I thought you were joking when you told me you were going to be streaming Bless Unleashed. So I was like, well, let's go see what he's actually streaming. Maybe it's be something new I haven't seen yet to check out.
It was Bless Unleashed.
He was streaming. He's been streaming this game all week.
Yeah.
So like, how long you stream? A couple hours at a time? 2 3 hours?
So we go anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours, Monday through Friday.
Dude, so you've killed 30-something guys at this point, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. That must be an achievement and some sort of
yesterday, Troy, I wish you would have stopped by yesterday, because we got caught in a leveling gap where our main story quest could not be played until we were level 19.
Mobs.
And I had just dinged 18. And I did some regional quests, got like maybe a quarter of that level. So I had like 75% to go, and the only thing I could do was sit and grind level equivalent mobs. Yesterday's stream was me shooting enraged water elementals. I must have killed 400 of them to level up. I did like 40%.
Or maybe 4. It just felt like 400.
I did like 40% of the level prior to the stream starting, because I didn't want the entire stream to just be an old-fashioned EverQuest mob grind.
Right.
But that's what it turned into anyway. Yeah. So you're not a fan, I would say.
Oh, you think? Did we have to have this conversation in order for you to know that? I don't think we did.
I like you in the stream today. I said something about the servers, going up and down, and Troy made a comment. He was like, "Yeah, they're not gonna have to worry about it. In a few weeks, they're just gonna come down permanently."
I mean,
it's
not gonna take him much to last longer than I did here.
You're so grumpy.
Why is this game with this name? How does this keep getting life over and over again?
Well, remember, Bless Unleashed pissed Bless Online fans off because Bless Online went into its like early access Founders Pack stuff on Steam, and then within weeks they announced that they were making this totally different Bless game. That the only thing that was the same was the world. Combat was different, stories were different, people were different, layout was different, but it took place in the same world. That was it, and it was console only. And Bless Online players were like, what the fuck? We're in early access. What are you? And they had to like backpedal and be like, these are two separate teams. This doesn't impact Bless Online at all, blah, 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 blah. So it's been a hot button issue since it came out. Then Bless Online goes away, Bless Unleashed launches.
Yeah, by the way, Bless Online people, hope you enjoyed paying for the development of Bless Unleashed. As it's the only Bless game that exists currently.
There's supposed to be a mobile game too, so...
Oh, is there?
I'm sure that will be fantastic. I can't
there
wait
is.
for that. I called dibs on that first look.
Yeah, let me see. It's called Bless Mobile. More details. Yeah, Bless Mobile. So we'll see how that pans out. Q, I don't think you don't have much to say that can top that, do you?
I mean, I'm not angry about it or anything. I don't own a PlayStation. I don't own a PlayStation. If I did, I might.
It's
I
an
might
Xbox.
play it
Xbox.
or Xbox, whatever. I don't own either one. If I did, I might play it because it just, you know, I do mindless grinding games sometimes just because my brain doesn't want to think.
See, but it's not mindless grinding. You actually have to like hardcore pay attention so that you don't get murked. So you don't get murked.
You'll realize when the server quits lagging, so you'll know to move because you're going to get hit anyway.
It's not always like that. It was like that today, though. I can't defend it.
If you watched the first look video, it wasn't. At least the portions of it I bothered to pay attention to.
Yeah, the first look video was fine.
Most of that was Mike yells at inventory.
Oh my! That's what basically the stream is.
The first half of it was just
so
like.
Bad.
When I first came to the stream today, there was Mike yells at inventory. I need to delete these boxes. I don't care about these boxes.
I literally had like 6 boxes of rewards. You have a box, it opens, it gives you like 3 to 4 different rewards. I was like, fuck it. I destroyed all the boxes. I didn't open them. I don't know what was in them. I don't know if I could have used anything. I was like,
I couldn't have done that.
I value the inventory. I can't either, Q. That's the point this game got me to with inventory management. It hurt my soul to do it. All right, let's slide over to the weekly bombs. I'm going to give mine first because mine's totally accidental. I did not know that Troy's game of choice right now was Star Wars The Old Republic. I'm going to give an A-bomb to Star Wars The Old Republic having to delay updates and content with certain content within those updates due to the coronavirus. That is not an A-bomb, by the way, to BioWare or their team or, you know, the content having to be delayed due to anything on their side. That is an A-bomb, of course, to the coronavirus for delaying content in a lot of games, Star Wars being one of the more recent ones we've heard about. Go ahead, Troy.
A-bomb to Star Wars The Old Republic for being the game that was there to pick up the shattered pieces of my nerd soul when BFA just destroyed me.
You didn't like a Battle for, huh?
Battle for repetitive doing nothing. Yeah. The zones were pretty. The zones were awesome. The questing was awesome. Then when you were done leveling and questing, you were done with it.
Cute.
I'm going to give it a bomb to Steam for pointing out this cool little. It's not really a game. It's not, but there's this little thing where you like sit and listen to like lo-fi music and send nice letters to other players anonymously and everything just to try to cheer them up. I don't know why. It just makes me kind of happy.
Aw, that's cool. That's cool. From the viewers, Elusive X Treasure chimes in with a long one here. A-bomb and da-bomb. I have mixed feelings about this. To the bad ending for Tales of Xillia 2. Such a good game. So this game, unlike all previous Tales game, has a silent protagonist, but it also has dialogue choices. And by the way, before I put this one on the notes, I had to read through to make sure there were no spoilers, because I don't want I commented to my husband who was playing with me that it felt off for a Tales main character to be silent. It does. He likened it to Suikoden. I'm fine with silence in that game, to which I replied that I felt it didn't fit the Tales format, especially with the skits. He then cited the dialogue choices as a reason behind it and why he was fine with it. Up to this point in the game, you indeed had choices, but they never seemed to impact the flow of events. For example, let's just say the choices were to jump off of a cliff, or not. You chose not to. Then another character pushes you off anyway, right? Not a real example, of course, but you get the idea. So I commented, yeah, you let me know when those choices actually begin to matter. Not 5 minutes later, we reach another choice right before the final area. I won't give it away for anyone who hasn't played it, but holy hell did that choice matter. What followed was him fighting a rough multiple boss fight solo, me watching helplessly, and a world-changing scene. The whole thing made me even question the entire first Zillia, let alone this one. So now, I'm taking a break from the Tales marathon for a week or two. 2 games to go, but I just can't right now. I am a huge Tales fan, so I'm right with you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it is weird though not having a silent protagonist in one of those games. Not something you're used to. Troy, go ahead.
Rickshaw, no add-on, should have a price of more than the cheapest book in a bookstore. Actually, they should all be free, as this proves the game developer withdrew certain elements of their development and never really finished the game, but released it so. Therefore, all additional extra add-ons throughout the year should all be free.
Now, the smiley face there, I'm hoping, is indicative of some sarcasm. I am with you that add-ons should not be very expensive, but yes, it's unreasonable to not have to buy an add-on that comes out 4 years later because the game is still... Rickshaw, you're awesome. Go ahead, Q.
Misfit Rain, A-Bomb to New World, delayed till August.
Yeah.
So close. That's like asking a child if they want some candy, extending your arm, pulling your arm back at the last second, evil laughing, then exiting the room with a smile while listening to the child cry hysterically.
Yikes.
Wow, is this what's happening to you?
Wow.
On the part of what the Amazon Lord of the Rings game will be, I feel like they can safely say it will not be an open world PvP game. I'm sure they will have some kind of PvP since they need more content for Twitch streams, just seeing how they backed out of their open world PvP game with a PvP toggle in their open world PvP game. It's a lot of PvPs. New World tells me PvP won't be remaining a thing. Still super excited for this game though.
Yeah, I don't expect their Lord of the Rings game to be open world, heavily open world PvP, if open world at all. And I was actually surprised that New World got delayed. To me, that was so close to release that I was like, it's done sitting in boxes at this point. Like there's nothing. And if they're going to change something, it would just be a day one patch at this point. I was actually surprised that one was delayed. Were you, Troy?
You know, in this day and age, it's actually kind of nice to see something just get delayed, even though we think it's ready, because most companies would just push it out.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what condition it's in. It's actually kind of refreshing to see somebody delay something. Yes, there are people out there who could really use that right now, something new, something different while they're sitting at home with nothing else to do. Yeah, but it's just, it's sort of an unusual move. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we've seen it a lot. I mean, Cyberpunk and even the Final Fantasy VII Remake was delayed. Now it's out, and it's beautiful, and it's gorgeous, and everything. But, yeah, we're seeing that a lot this year, even before this whole Corona thing. And honestly, I think a lot of the delays were handled with, relatively speaking, class on the side of gamers, which I was happy to see.
Because it could just be Fallout 76.
Go ahead, Q. Or wait,
did I just do that?
Yeah, you did that one. Sorry, Troy, go ahead.
Maricath. Bless Unleashed will be shut down within a year. Even now, the ones who were praising it are starting to complain. Man, that sounds so familiar, doesn't it? About the gameplay loop. It will do 1 or 2 attempts at redeeming itself, then shut down like all the ones who share its name.
So your YouTube name is Maricath? Because I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I like to change it around everywhere I go, you know. Roll.
Corrido PT, dub bomb to Magicman. Whoops, what the hell did I just do? There we go. Dub bomb to Magicman's casino run on stream. My heart couldn't take much more. Replying to that, Ninja Panda also said, yes, a very big dub-bomb for the 120K cash out at the casino and for the entertaining streams. Can't wait for what's next. I hope you will all join us. Twitch.tv/MMOBomb, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They're talking about Phantasy Star Online 2. Last week, there was an insane slot machine risky run that I completed when we probably should have stopped 10 spins ago. And walked out with 126K in casino coins in Phantasy Star Online 2. It was a lot of fun. The video is on our Twitch channel if you want to go check it out.
So there's gambling in the game. Is it labeled? It should be labeled. I need a label for that.
Label. Put a label. Go ahead, Q.
SK2Neat, I'm pretty sure Bless Unleashed is a time exclusive.
Well, not according to anything they've said publicly. Probably. I tend to agree with you that we'll probably, if they're doing anything, we'll see it on PC from the Microsoft Store and then potentially other consoles and platforms. But I think the audience has to go somewhere first for them to be willing to do that. Q, did you have something there?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that could change at any time. Like,
right.
It happens all the time,
Yeah.
so...
Go ahead, Troy.
Cyberpunk Girl, Magicman is getting old.
Wow. That's harsh.
He's not sure how you meant that. Either that he's actually physically getting old, or that he's just grumpy.
Or maybe Cyberpunk Girl is just tired of you.
Maybe that. Oh yeah, it could be like not even age related. Yeah, like what?
Look, we've all aged about 100 years in the last month, so
true. Like, am I physically aging? Am I just getting like Jason crotchety when it comes to certain games?
And I guess we shouldn't talk about that. I'm pretty sure you're the youngest one.
Yeah, I am
right
now.
I'm the oldest
Jason.
one.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest one.
Q's a little bit older than I am, and I was pretty sure you're younger than me. So
yep.
I thought Jason was younger than me too, but now I think he's older than me. I'm never really sure.
Well, you know what, Cyberpunk Girl, you're older than when you wrote that comment, so I guess we all get. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. Yeah, I'm older than I was yesterday, and I'm older than what 5 years ago when we did GBTV, guys, and 7 years ago when I did MMO Bomb before GBTV, and
on the upside, we've all managed to successfully skirt death.
That's true. That's true. We'll take it. It's all right, Cyberpunk Girl. We love you. Question of the week last week. Now that you've had a chance to check it out, either personally or on a stream through watching it, what are your thoughts on Valorant? Squeezy says, question of the week, my thoughts on Valorant. Riot should remove the S in Riot games. That's my thought after checking it out. It is not a bad Bless level game, but there are other games in the same genre that are more entertaining. Troy, and I think that's one of the concerns you expressed about it, is there's just more that...
I mean, that's true. I mean, after all these years, Riot Games at least has games, but yeah, that was my concern, is just it doesn't look like it does anything different or special that's going to attract anything.
Go ahead, Q.
Valazar, Valorant, meh. The game looks so average, I feel no need to say anything else.
Oof. Troy.
Ben Willick, obligatory viewer engagement comment.
Thank you, Ben. Ben, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Our question of the week this week: what is the most disappointing games-related event, release, update, whatever, that had to be canceled or delayed to you? What is the most disappointing? I mean, we just saw Gamescom got canceled. It's going to be a digital-only affair. Could be in a game, SWTOR stuff for Troy. What is the most disappointing one for you and why? Let us know in the comments below. While you're there, don't forget your weekly bombs. Dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or in life in general. And if you have a question for the panel, be sure to put it down there and we'll feature it on next week's show. Until then, Troy, where can everybody find you?
You know what? Go watch Mike, twitch.tv/MMOBomb before it gets too old to do that.
Oh, you did.
Damn, dude.
Q.
Hanging out on Twitter at Quitland.
I'm Mike Byrne, the old one. You can find me right there at Magicman1 on Twitter. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can send you tweets on all the latest news, articles, free-to-play casts, free-to-play weeklies, first-look videos, giveaways, and so much more. Until next week, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.